Hey guys, it's Tessa here from handletheheat.com, where I love to share sweet treats with a sprinkling of baking science. And today I'm showing you how to make my legendary Nutella brownies. These brownies are ultra tall, thick, fudgy, chewy, and a little bit gooey, and they're actually my most popular recipe on Instagram. So let's go ahead and get started. There are a few tips for getting really fudgy, chewy brownies that I'll be sharing with you, and the full recipe is over on handletheheat.com. So I'm starting in my glass mixing bowl, and I'm just going to add 1.5 sticks of unsalted butter. I always bake with unsalted butter because it puts me in control of how much salt is in the recipe. Next, I'm going to add in chopped unsweetened chocolate, and then I'll add in some semi-sweet chocolate chips. Now I'm going to take this to the microwave and microwave it in 30-second bursts, stirring between every burst until it's all melted and smooth. You can also do this in the double boiler. All right, so my chocolate mixture is melted and smooth now. So I'm just going to set that aside to cool, and then the next step is combining my sugar and eggs. So I got my stand mixer out, and what I'm going to do is add in the granulated sugar, and then I'm adding in 3 large eggs and 1 egg yolk. Now that extra egg yolk is going to lend a nice rich, chewy texture to these brownies. And what I'm actually going to do is beat just the sugar and eggs on medium-high speed for about 3 minutes, or until it's nice and light and ribbony. And this is definitely an extra step involved with this recipe. It's dirtying a new bowl, I know, but it makes such a big difference. When you do this step, the brownies are ultra fudgy and they have that beautiful tissue thin crust on top that is so delicious. So medium-high speed for about 3 minutes. All right, now this mixture is nice and light and thick. So the last step here is just to add in a little bit of vanilla extract, and I'm gonna give that a quick stir. All right, so I've got my beaten eggs and sugar, I've got my melted chocolate mixture. I'm going to add about half a cup of Nutella to the melted chocolate mixture. And the Nutella flavor does kind of become a little bit muted with baking. It's not quite as strong as Nutella is just raw on its own. So if you wanted to punch up the Nutella flavor, you could actually add in hazelnut liqueur like Frangelico to the batter. You could add chopped hazelnuts, or you could just spoon some melted Nutella on top of the brownies before serving. So I'm just gonna stir the Nutella into that melted chocolate mixture, and then stir the melted chocolate mixture into the beaten eggs and sugar. All right, so that's all mixed. The final step is to add in our dry ingredients. This recipe only needs 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour, and then I'm adding in just a little bit of fine sea salt to really bring out the flavors, and then a little bit of cocoa powder just to boost up the chocolate flavor. Just give that a stir until all of the flour is incorporated. And again, you want to be a little gentle here. You don't want to be too aggressive with your stirring, just until the flour is incorporated. Okay, so I've got my baking pan. I'm just using an 8-inch square baking pan. Now this might seem like a lot of batter for a square baking pan, and it is. And that's what gives these brownies a super thick, fudgy, slightly gooey in the center texture, which I absolutely love. So I'm using a metal baking pan, which conducts heat really quickly and evenly, and it's definitely my preferred type of pan for this recipe. If you have to use glass or ceramic, know that it will probably take longer for your brownies to bake through completely. Now I've lined my pan with parchment paper. You could also use foil if you'd like. And I'm just going to go ahead and pour the batter right on into the pan. Okay, so this will go in a 350-degree oven for about 35 to 40 minutes. So my brownies are all baked and cooled. They look absolutely amazing. If you find that the brownies sink slightly in the center, not to worry, no big deal. That's just how rich they are. So I'm going to go ahead and use the parchment paper. I left myself an overhang so I can go ahead and just pull the entire tray of brownies on out, and I can cut some slices. Now there are a few tricks for cutting even, beautiful slices of brownie, and especially the brownie that's this moist, rich, and fudgy, I like to use a big, sharp, long knife. And what I do is I actually wipe down the blade with hot water in between cuts so that all of the cuts are nice and pretty. Now you can cut these into smaller pieces if you're serving a crowd. I like to cut it into 9 larger pieces and serve them with a cold glass of milk because in my mind, there's nothing better. I wish you guys could smell how incredible this smells. So rich with chocolate. Oh my gosh, these brownies are incredible. It's actually been a while since I've made them, and I'm so excited to take a bite. That flaky, tissue-thin crust on top is absolutely mouth-watering. They're super thick, chewy at the edges, gooey in the middle, so I'm going to go ahead and plate this one up for myself and give it a taste. Oh my God. They're so good. It's basically like if Nutella fudge and brownies had a baby, that's what these taste like. This recipe is incredible. I'm remembering now why it's my most popular recipe on Instagram. You're going to want to give this one a try. So go head over to handletheheat.com, just search Nutella Brownies, you'll find the recipe, and I hope your mind will be blown as well. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.